So we're going to be taking this baby for a ride. 23 Honda Rancher 420 independent suspension. And it's the DCT model. So we're going to be ripping this around in the snow. What do you do when you're handed a snow day? You take your Rancher out for a ride. Check that out. This thing is amazing in the snow. I was just doing some nice donuts and power slides. Now I'm going in the woods for some fun. Look at this. Nice, virgin, untouched, unplowed roads. All of the snow stuck in the trees. .495 miles now. Alright guys, 2023 Honda Rancher. We're out here in the snow. As you see, I was out doing some donuts. I have some footage of that. But yeah, we have about 420 miles on this machine so far. I've rode it a couple times in the snow. One time it was a lot deeper than this. We had about a foot. And it did pretty good. When I got a little bogged down, I had to put it in four-wheel drive. But for the most part, I leave it in two-wheel drive so I could do donuts and kick it out and stuff. It's a pretty good, solid machine. As you see, I got my blue light for my heated hand grips on. I'm going to go for a ride in the woods, but I just want to talk about how good this machine is in the snow. You don't even need four-wheel drive to go, unless you're like stuck on something or whatever, but a lot of times you back up and you can just go. Stock tires, not so good. Good for kicking it out. That's probably the biggest downfall of this machine is stock tires. But other than that, all in all, she's pretty solid, reliable. I wish it had either a bigger tank or better fuel mileage. But then again, I'm always hammering on it, so that could have a big thing to do with it. But as you see, we got about 5 or 6 inches of snow. Tore my driveway up pretty good. Doing some pretty massive donuts. I'll put the video in there. But yeah, guys, you can't go wrong with Honda machines. They're amazing. They're bulletproof. Are they the most powerful? No. But then again, they also don't break anything either. So it's a double-edged sword. What do you guys want, you know? But yeah, guys, everybody was asking me how good this machine is in the snow. I mean, it doesn't matter how good it is. It's just fun. You know, I'm actually going to get a Honda Recon for my daughter here. And this way she could start riding and everything. Now my wife My wife got the bug. I took her for a ride. You know, and if your wife doesn't like four-wheeling, or she's a city girl, never's done it before, take her for a ride. You'll bring the inner redneck out of her pretty easy. So I think this is going to be my wife's machine. And I think I'm going to buy a Foreman Rubicon. Just for a little bit more power. I know the top speed is still the same at 50. I think it's 50 miles an hour on this machine. 50, 51. Doesn't matter. You know, if you hit a tree at 51, if you hit it at 61, it's still the same. So it's the same. But yeah, guys. I mean, could use a little more storage. You know, maybe a beverage holder, if you know what I mean. But other than that, guys, you can't say anything bad about these things. This is the electronic shift with a DCT transmission. I leave it in automatic, and you'll see when I'm doing donuts, it's shifting it by itself. I'm not even thumbing it or shifting it or anything. I'm just hammering down, and it's just kicking the next gear. So it has plenty of power to power slide around. But took it through some deep mud. It's good in deep mud. It's an amazing trail machine for going on like packed dirt roads, and where I'm about to go now. There's a fire road up there. I got 24 miles of road one way. So I can go one way and then come back. Which is usually my loop is what I do. There's a spot where I do some donuts. There's a spot where I sit and, you know, watch the birds and stuff. And there's a spot where there's a lake I go look at. But that's the whole thing about four-wheeler and ATV. And it's being out in the wilderness. It's being out in the middle of nowhere. And just relaxing. Like snow day. I don't have to work today. I mean, I still could if I wanted to. But why? Kids have off from school. There's not a lot of people on the roads, not a lot of people in the community. And it's just an all-in-all good time. That's one thing I always loved about ATV. Even when I was a kid, it was like you had freedom. And then I bought a motorcycle, and then that wasn't freedom because I had to obey all those traffic laws. I had to share the road with other people who aren't watching for you. And if you wanted to drive it spiritively, which most of us, was the reason why we buy these machines. We don't buy them to put around. We're not all 80-year-old men. But, you know, a four-wheeler, I think, is a lot better than a motorcycle nowadays. You know, you can go out, kick some donuts, and rip around and not really have to worry about getting in too much trouble, you know, if you're in your own spot or if you have a place to ride or if you live in a community like mine where, you know, we're allowed to ride on the roads, just not like a dummy. But, yeah, guys, Rancher 420 in the snow, amazing. And if you don't own an ATV, I suggest you get one. It's a bonding experience with the family. And you won't be disappointed. You see my big ATV trailer over there? Some of you guys that watch my scrap videos, I got the big ATV trailer. That holds 5 ATVs, that trailer. I can fit 5 of them on there. 2 side by side, 2 side by side, 2 side by side, and then 1 laying across the back. So I have a big trailer. We can go around to different places. You know, take the whole family and everything. Or friends, and I have 2 trucks, so, you know, we could take 1 truck, pull the trailer, and the other one could follow behind, you know, with the side-by-side that my father-in-law has because it's too big to put on that trailer. I mean, you could fit, the reason why the guy gave me that trailer was he said you couldn't fit 2 big side-by-sides on there. You could fit 1 side-by-side and maybe a small one, like they had a Rhino 660, and it would just fit, but it was overweight. But he said they kept it because, you know, you could put one big side-by-side on it and 2, you know, bigger four-wheelers like this on. But you can't put 2 side-by-sides on that. So that was why the guy gave it to me. I just got to put some breakaway box on it and fix a couple lights. But yeah, guys, as you hear, it's still humming. I have the key on. But yeah, guys, I'm all dressed up like the Nook of the North. Got my Patagonia shield on. I'm going for a ride, boys. I'll see you guys later, man.